Hey yo, YouTube, what's up? It's your boy Louis Syfe here. Now, don't get this headline wrong. This isn't some kind of powwow session complaining about how the NFL has surrendered to Donald Trump's protests of the NFL players who are kneeling down for the national anthem. Actually, I think it's a fair compromise that you could kneel down all you want from the locker room. The NFL does not have to provide you a camera for your protest, and anybody who does so, well, it'll be fine if the fines that are levied at the team, not the player, that's an important point, if those fines are actually sent out to charities and Big Brother programs. Win-win is the way I look at it. If you want to protest, stay in the locker room. Your absence will speak volumes, but the NFL doesn't have to provide you a stage for your protests. This is not a critique of the NFL's in any way. This is actually derived from the title of this book right here by Mr. Wesley Lowery. They Can't Kill Us All. This book gets rave reviews on Amazon.com. I recommend buying it for a specific reason. I think it's even been optioned out to Netflix, and it's basically a supposedly dispassionate breakdown of all of the violent occurrences that has happened between African Americans and law enforcement officers since as far back as Sean Bell, and this is very astute. It's well written. It's almost novelesque how the writer, Mr. Lowe's, goes on a journey of finding out the truth of what happened to these young brothers. But as you could tell by the title of this book, it's highly inflammatory. And to show you why I do not care for this book much, I would like to just show you everything. Like, this has a bibliography. See, it has a full bibliography of all the pertinent issues that are at least important to the writer, voting laws, and it's like, black suicide is not on this book. The term suicide by cop does not show up on this book. Why is that, you might ask? Well, first of all, why was there an oversight of black suicide by cop in this entire book? I looked and I looked and I looked, and all I could see was a passing comment by the writer saying that he had a lot of researchers assisting him, and it was his job as a black man to investigate if these cops were actually innocent, or if there was some kind of mental health issue affecting the young black men. And the fact that suicide does not come up in any kind of important terms on this book should tell you something. What's going on is that this writer and the NFL Players Association want to stay in the emotional moment of oppression. They want to perpetually be set upon because, like I said before, it allows them to keep asking for retribution. It allows them to keep voicing the ills and all the conflicts that they're going to. It gives them a sense of power and agency to be complaining all the time, and to address the fact that African American men are actually making the conscious decision to go out in a blaze of glory by fist fighting police is not something that they want to address. They would rather be continually vulnerable. They would rather be continually disenfranchised. They would rather complain and complain and complain than actually solve the problems. And this, to me, is a form of toxic femininity, a form of perpetual helplessness that they have. They're not even turning it into some kind of political action campaign. They're just reveling in the emotionality of being frail, weak, and submissive to a oppressive, patriarchal white power structure. This book is a perfect example of that. No suicide by cop is discussed on it. This allows me to talk about my problems with the African American community as a black man with conservative leaning values. Black Lives Matter, organization started by mostly feminists and LGBT and trans Tumblr aficionados, whatever you want to call them, severely misdiagnoses what's going on with African American men. If you haven't heard me say it before, here's what I think is going on. Decades of systematic racism and oppression has led African American men to seek employment and financial opportunities. Sorry about that. Seek employment and financial opportunities in the underground economies of drug dealing, violence for hire, etc. This not only makes African American men antagonistic towards law enforcement officers, but it makes African American men antagonistic towards themselves. So when I hear a Republican offer up jobs as a solution, and I hear the other side offer up yelling and screaming and chanting Black Lives Matter, honestly, where do you think I would fall in line? I would fall in line with those who are creating jobs. The NFL Players Association, the protesters, they don't understand that they're hurting themselves. They're hurting African Americans like me who, well, I ain't gonna say it like that, but they're hurting young African American men who doesn't have a form of recourse of bringing their real issues to the table. I think what the NFL Players Association, what the book They Can't Kill Us All is promoting is a sense of toxic femininity, a radical misdiagnosis of masculine problems through a feminist lens. And until the players understand that, they need to get with Big Brother programs. They need to start acting upon their frustrations rather than chanting. I think we're in a world of hurt. I guess so. Oh, and as a gift to the white viewers, don't ever let an African American woman tells you that black on black crime is a myth, because it's not them who are dying from masculinity. And as a matter of fact, they are actually hindering our growth, because frailty in men is not in their best interest, so they're going to deny it at all costs. Take this to heart. Black Lives Matter is a radical feminist solution to a masculine problem. We need jobs, we need employment, we need to break bread with the white power structure so that we could gain employment, so we could have agency and be fathers and stay at home and not want to fist fight the cops in some occasions or play with guns in others. I hope, like I said, I hope whatever you take with it, take that with a grain of salt, all right? The NFL did the right thing. Protesters, if you want to protest, stay in the locker room. That's all I have to say. Peace.